Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're tackling a tricky but super common DevOps challenge: how to safely automate Maven releases in Jenkins without getting stuck in those annoying infinite build loops. You know the story. You finally automate version bumping, tagging, and deployment, and suddenly Jenkins keeps triggering itself again and again. It's like a mirror reflecting a mirror, never ending. In this short session, I'll explain why it happens, and then walk you through a simple, reliable 4-step pattern used by real DevOps teams to automate Maven releases safely. Let's start with understanding what's actually going wrong. Alright, let's talk about what breaks when we try to automate releases. The first big issue: the infinite loop problem. Here's what usually happens. Your Jenkins pipeline finishes a build, then automatically updates the Maven version, for example, from 1.2.3 snapshot to just 1.2.3. It commits that change and pushes it to Git, but Jenkins is watching the repository. So that push triggers another build, and that build commits again, and the cycle continues forever. It's Jenkins chasing its own tail. The second problem: multi-module version alignment. In a large project, you may have 10 or 20 modules. A parent, an API layer, maybe a web component, a core service, and so on. If you bump versions manually, you can easily end up with modules on different version numbers, causing dependency conflicts and failed builds. We need a single, automated way to keep them all in sync. Next, credential management. To push commits, create tags, and deploy artifacts, your pipeline needs access to Git and your Maven repository. If you store those credentials in plain text in the Jenkins file, you're inviting a serious security risk. Instead, they should be stored and injected securely through Jenkins' built-in credentials manager. And finally, the manual release overhead. Without automation, teams spend time updating versions, creating tags, deploying artifacts, all of which can and should be automated. Our goal is to automate this entire cycle safely. No loops, no leaks, no manual pain. So let's move on and look at the solution. Here's the headline: the safe Jenkins release pattern. This approach uses 4 key steps. Each one eliminates a specific pain point we just discussed. Step 1. Prevent build loops. We start by telling Jenkins to ignore commits that are made by the release automation itself. The easiest way to do that is to include a small note in your commit message that says, skip CII. So instead of triggering a new build, Jenkins sees that tag and skips it. For example, your release step might make a commit that says, release version 1.2.3, skip CII. Notice I'm not reading out the symbols or brackets. The important thing is that your commit message literally includes the words skip CI in square brackets. That breaks the feedback loop instantly. You can also add a small check inside your Jenkins file to make sure that if the commit author is the Jenkins bot itself, the pipeline doesn't run again. Either approach works perfectly. Step 2. Align versions automatically. Next, we use the Maven Versions Plugin to update every module in the project automatically, instead of editing multiple POM files by hand. This plugin lets you set the new version once, and it updates the parent and all child modules together. It's like changing one master key and having every door lock update instantly. So in your pipeline, after you've decided on the new release version, run the Versions plugin to set and commit that version. This keeps all your modules perfectly aligned, no mismatched numbers, no broken dependencies. Step 3. Secure your credentials. Now, let's talk about protecting your keys. Your Git credentials and your Maven repository credentials should always be stored inside Jenkins Credentials Manager, not inside the pipeline file itself. When the pipeline runs, you can safely inject them only for the steps that need them. For example, when you deploy to your Maven repository, Jenkins temporarily passes the username and password to that command, and then clears them immediately afterward. This keeps your tokens or passwords hidden, and your pipeline logs clean. Whenever possible, use SSH keys for Git operations and token-based authentication for Maven repositories. It's safer and easier to audit later. Step 4. Automate tagging. After success, finally, tagging. Once your build and tests pass, create a get tag automatically for that version. Do this after a successful build, not before. This way, every tag in your repository always points to a verified, working state of your code. So your release pipeline ends with a tag, something like version 1.2.3, and pushes that tag to origin. Now your entire release flow is traceable, repeatable, and safe. Let's recap the entire pattern real quick. 1. Use the skip CI's marker to stop loops. 2. Update versions automatically with the Maven Versions Plugin. 3. Store credentials securely in Jenkins. And 4. Tag releases only after a successful build. To wrap things up, here's one simple pro tip. Always perform your release automation from a dedicated release branch or a controlled pipeline, not from developer pushes. That ensures your tags, versions, and artifacts come from verified, approved code, not from someone's experimental branch. When you follow this process, you'll notice something magical. Your Jenkins builds run once and only once. Your Maven versions stay perfectly aligned, and your deployments happen securely, without extra manual work. So remember, automate the boring stuff, secure the sensitive stuff, and release with confidence.